Yeah.
So anyway, I'm recording calmly now. We've just met. I just want to tell both our viewers that are watching this that literally we've just jumped on to this a couple of minutes ago, and for me, I really wanted to start something that people could actually feel normal and real as women, because I think, like, we've just started talking. We weren't going to record this, were we?
No, no. And I did have to run back and grab a better lippy.
And Carly did actually spot me when I came on Zoom putting this on. But you know what? This is raw, and this is what I think that we've got to get down to, is who we are as women. We're all very, very similar. And you were just sharing with me your story, your line in the sand moment, and your why you're doing what you're doing now. And it often comes down to, I think, what we're telling ourselves, doesn't it? Like,
It is. Yeah.
we're our worst critic, as we were just saying.
Yes, absolutely. It's like looking in the mirror and the first thing we see is, oh my gosh, I've got that wrinkle. Look, oh my gosh, my nails are chipping. Oh my gosh, I haven't got the lippy on. But it's you know, the gold is when you're able to push past and beyond that, and looking at yourself, looking in the mirror into your own eyes, which is the windows of your soul, I believe, and being able to see things like, oh my gosh, I'm helpful. Oh my gosh, I'm loving. I'm honest. I'm hardworking. These are character traits that we don't look at, and we don't give ourselves credit for. We take these things for granted. Oh, I'm a woman. I'm supposed to be honest and loving and giving. But
Yes.
no, it's, you know, come on, ladies, honor it. It's you.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, give yourself credit for those things, because at the end of the day, all this is going to melt down, but what's all in here and here is going to stay. So
Yeah.
take care of those things.
Yeah. And like we both agreed, it's, you know, you were spoken to by a beautiful nurse who said to you, if you were to step out of yourself
Hmm.
and look back at yourself, and what is it that you would tell her?
Yeah. So
So
I was
powerful, isn't it?
a very, she actually, this is my therapist when I hit rock bottom and had to go and sort myself out, find myself out. And she said to me, she said, Kamini, what I want you to do is take yourself out of yourself and put it on the chair next to you, and turn around to her and say things that you would say to another woman. And oh my goodness, I was all positive and empowering her. And she said, well, you know, you've taken yourself out of yourself, and you can say that, but when you're in your own self, you become your worst critic.
Yeah.
How can and she The big question was, how can you not love yourself as much as you've loved that person sitting right next to you?
Wow. And isn't it funny, because growing up, I don't know about you, sorry, I'm getting quite teary,
Oh,
but growing up, um, I always believed if you loved yourself, it was selfish. Um, and it
it
was,
was vain.
yeah, vain, that's it. You're like, oh, who are you to love yourself? And
Yeah.
so we weren't properly taught what that truly meant
Oh,
to love
you
yourself.
I'm tearing up too. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
what does it mean to actually love you as a person? I mean, God put us on this earth with love. Like, He made us. Like, we were created in love, and um, it's almost offensive, really, to not honor that.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I have to do this daily almost,
Yeah.
because it's so entrenched in me, that the feeling of not truly loving who I am, and I still struggle with it,
Yeah.
I say, daily, um, but it's destructive. I
Yeah.
think it's really
Yeah.
destructive, because if you can't actually hold yourself in and look at yourself like that, how are we able to do that with
Yeah.
other people? And I think you were saying you used to feel very intimidated by other women. And I think we do. I mean, I think we are intimidated by women more than we are men, because we are so judging on ourselves. We probably
Yeah.
expect that from other women.
But also growing up, we're always sort of pointed out and reminded that the girl next door is doing so much better than you. Why can't you be like the girl next door? Guess what? That girl next door is looking to the other girl next door to her and saying the same things. But we don't think like that. We just see what's outside, and not focus on the inside. And that's where my life has changed. Learning to love myself unconditionally, because if I don't love myself, no one will actually really love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's the same, like the plane crashing situation. Put your own mask first.
yeah, I know, it's funny, eh? I still,
Yeah.
when I first heard that, I remember thinking, well, that's selfish. It was that female thing coming into me and going,
Yeah.
you can't do that. And I still remember that moment where I thought, you can't do that. And then realizing later, not until I'd done my own work and actually, go on to then help many other people, that's what
Yes.
it really meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And loving yourself doesn't mean you go and buy yourself expensive. Well, to me, it's not the material things. Of course, yes, every once in a while I'll go and spoil myself, but I spoil myself daily with what I feed my thoughts and what goes in my heart. You know, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, and I do believe in the power of prayer. So I pray to the universe and ask for a lot of love.
This is what you do this daily. Like, what would you say to the women out there that are watching this? What are your, say, 3 top tips that you would do to help yourself on a daily basis or a weekly basis, or that you would get into alignment with, creating this in your life where you can be in flow?
Sure. The first thing I do is I have an attitude of gratitude. This is something that Natalie Cutler Welsh talks a lot about. She's the go-to girl. And it's starting my day feeling grateful.
Yeah.
I lie in bed, and on my hand, I count 5 things that I'm grateful for. And it's quite funny because I'm not going to jump out of bed unless and until I've done that. And my husband will walk in and he's like, "Oh, you're stuck, huh? What number are you at?" "You're struggling with your gratitude list today. Is it number 3 or 2?" So that's how, that's the first thing. I recognize things that I have and I appreciate in my life. The second thing is actually saying how I feel. It's not, as women, we're taught to like compromise our feelings. So if my husband, 10 years ago, if he said to me, he said, "How do you feel?" I put myself in his shoes and think about what does he want me to feel. So I meet him halfway, but my halfway is already, cut by the other half. So I'm actually meeting him 75% of the way. And so these days, I really meet him halfway and say, "This is how I'm feeling." By telling people how you feel doesn't have to be aggressive. It can be in love, said in love and with love. It can be said with a lot of respect and a lot of honesty.
This is great. I feel that this is a lot of women probably struggle with this because they've been possibly brought up with suppressing those feelings, or for myself, I was always told, "Oh, you're too sensitive." And so I grew up going, "Oh, that's a bad thing. I'm too sensitive, or I'm too emotional, or and it wasn't until recently, and again, it's something I'm still dealing with, but it's that pushing down because people think actually they don't want to deal with maybe their own emotions, and so you confronting for them. That's
yeah,
and that's okay. And like you say,
yeah,
you do things with, you've got to be more, you've got to do it with respect, and whatever you're
yeah,
saying, it's got to be thought out. Well, you know what I mean? Not thought out,
yeah,
but you've got
yeah,
to be respectful.
yeah,
So yeah, that's a really great one to, I think a lot of women out there probably need to realize that it is good to acknowledge those feelings, acknowledge
yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the first thing is, I like the word respect a lot, because to me, it's self-respect comes first. And when I say something, it's said with a lot of respect for myself. And when I put myself first, I become kinder to the person I'm talking to,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's love yourself as thy neighbor. Love your neighbor as thyself, but I would say love yourself as you love your neighbor.
Mm. Yeah, very good.
Respect yourself as much as you respect your neighbor first. Um, we're not taught to be respectful to ourselves. We are always taught that we should respect others.
Mm. Yeah,
And
it's
and
funny,
it's
isn't it?
always,
It's almost like the upside down pyramid, like food,
yeah,
used to be.
yeah,
It's kind of been flipped,
yeah,
and it's very ingrained in us, and in the generations before that, and the generations before
yeah,
that. And this is where it's great. This is where I'm really wanting this to be something that we can come together and talk and be honest, and
yeah,
for our children, for the next generation. And I think they're actually they're so much more aware of these things than what we were. For instance, I was in bed last night with my daughter. She always jumps into bed with me, and we have a chat. And I just said to her, okay, we're going to have turns. What were you grateful for today?
yeah,
And we went we actually went through this, and the whole exercise took us
yeah,
a whole conversation that we would never have otherwise spoken
yeah.
about. It was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. We have I've got 3 girls, so it's really important for me that I, practice what I preach.
Yeah.
And one of the things we do in the car before I drop them off is what we call compliments. And we compliment each other, and we don't just say, "Oh, you're beautiful." We expand it.
Yeah.
And that is such an amazing empowerment moment when I can see my girls are now able to take beautiful and expand it.
That's so amazing, and something that they will do with their friends,
Yes.
and it's like a flow on effect, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can teach them that, they'll then put that into their friendships, and
yeah,
then ultimately their families and their children and boys as well.
yeah.
It's not just women and females here, it's for everybody. It's the human race, right?
Absolutely. And these days, boys need to be hugged more than our girls, because, they don't need to be, tough as nail. No one needs to be tough as nail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apart except the nail itself. So it's really important that wherever we come from a place of love and positivity and honesty. And
I think one of the quotes I love of Brené Brown, or she might have even written it, did she name her book? Soft front, hard back, wild
yes,
spirit. So it's like we get tough, and then our heart gets tough, and then our
yeah,
our backs get weak, and it's kind of
yeah,
like, it doesn't make sense. Again, spin it round.
yeah,
Have that strong. We need boundaries.
yeah,
Boundaries are super important. It's one of the biggest things I learned really before I on the beginning of my journey were boundaries, because I didn't have proper boundaries, because I was always
yeah,
worried about what other people thought, and I was worried about that I was going to hurt them, and so
yeah, yeah,
gave that boundary power away, and it wasn't healthy for anybody. And so having being strong, like you say, the nail, it's really
yeah,
strong to have that backbone,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
soft heart, that soft front, and then you can have as much of a wild spirit as you
Yeah.
want.
Oh my gosh, Anna, I'm Indian, and can you imagine the pressures on me? I've broken all the cultural, barriers, and about 6 months ago, I was told that, oh, how you're behaving and how you're being, the family, which meant the extended family,
Yeah.
won't don't accept you and you'll lose them all. And yes, I've lost them all, but at the end of the day, do I want these people with, you know, values that don't align with me? It's actually no. I you know, place a lot of value in boundaries that come from a lot of good values. And those values.
Sorry to hear that. And I understand what you're saying, because since kind of becoming more public myself, I too have had those judgments, and I don't understand. I still am trying to wrap my head around why it is the people that we love the most are the most judging sometimes, and not always. So yeah, what's your take on that? Because again, there's a lot of probably people watching today that have that same fear. If I put myself out there, I'm going to lose friends, I'm going to lose family. And it's easy to say, I think, they didn't align with, me, or they, those kinds of things. But it still is very...
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts because you've loved these people all your life, and then all of a sudden they don't want to be around you. I think the way I have moved forward with that is by, again, going back to loving and respecting myself.
Yeah.
It just, those two things, loving and respecting yourself first. And this is without any vanity involved or anything. It's just, asking yourself those deep questions.
Yeah.
It's, do I have peace of mind? Is my mind working overtime because of this, or do I feel nice and calm and feel like, oh my gosh, I've got so much time now that I can actually go and do my Pilates instead of the constant, listening to the negativity.
I would probably say, from my point of view, it's been a transition, and there's certain people that came at me, like yourself, and then you just have to deal with it bit by bit, and ask yourself, well, what is it that is there truth in what they're saying, or is it their own stuff? And it could be, in some ways, when you're first starting out on this journey, you might get passionate about it, and then some overstep things that you might say or not. So it's being aware of stepping forward, probably slowly rather than moving into it. But the other thing is that I encourage is, with this, you gain the most amazing friendships, people you actually feel so connected to that it almost outweighs it. It's not that you don't. It's not that you're gaining so much that you suddenly go, wow, there are other people out there that are like me. Those like-minded people, like we like to talk about. That's been a huge bonus in my life. So it's kind of balanced.
Yeah, but do you feel that you've gained yourself? You've gained your self-love, your self-worthiness, your self-respect?
Gained more peace, I think.
Yeah. Self-peace.
Yeah.
That eternal peace. Yeah. And my third tab is actually being very kind to yourself. It's, it's been really kind to yourself. When you go through transitions like this, giving yourself time to go through it. But at the same time, don't just leave that time slot open, because as women, we tend to drag things along. Give yourself a time. Honestly, this is, I time things on my phone. All right, I'm upset about this. How long do I want to be upset? And I put a time to it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, I've said my goodbyes. Within this time, I kick, I scream. This is all happening internally. I'm not going to let my girls see it. But I'm entitled within this time to have my tantrum, have my cry, have my, flip out session, and then say to myself, okay, I've released the energy. I'm going to close it there. and I'm going to move on.
You will be less, you're pain, because we hold things in our body, right, when we feel this. So, you know, you get better health, your health improves, and it's so cool. Yeah, I really think that those 3 tips are amazing, and I really hope that you guys out there have been helped by, you know, just it's great to sort of meet you, and let's rise. You know, I mean, we talk about rising together, and it's very much often a spoken thing, but for me, it's about being real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And connecting and collaborating. They're just my, you know, very important for me to be able to pass on to you guys out there and share other women's stories, and knowing that we're all on the same journey. We're all just walking each other home. Yeah. I love that, you know.
Yeah. Can I just leave you ladies with one thing? You know, right after this, if you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, however you're watching this, when you've come to the end bit, I'd like you to walk yourself and stand in front of a mirror and smile. Smile at yourself, smile through your eyes, not just your face, but, you know, in your eyes, smile at yourself. And the transformation is going to be amazing when you really look into your own eyes and smile at yourself.
It's an emotional thing to do, actually. And if you do that with someone that you love, like you go into silence for 5 minutes and you just stare at them, that's really powerful as well. That's really powerful. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's just so lovely to meet you. And
so nice to meet you too, Anna, and thank you for having me on.